Hey, real quick, just a quick reminder of the notes that you were working on today in class with me for Roman history. We were doing the Republic Part 3, which was the Roman Civil Wars, which also deals with 2 pages of reading. The main first page of the reading talked about the three Gaiuses, okay? Gaius Marius, who created the professional Roman army, which is a big deal. Um, Gaius Gracchus, okay, which was another one, of course, that was the guy who was the tribune of the people, who said, hey, he wanted to be like Robin Hood, let's redistribute some land and wealth to the people. And the Senate said, no, we don't like that. So they literally killed him and assassinated him. Remember, an assassination is a politically motivated killing, so this fits that definition very well. And then, of course, you had the other Gracchus brother who popped in, who 10 years later, after his first brother got killed, Tiberious, he came out and then he said, let's do the same thing. Let's try this whole idea again of redistributing the wealth to other people, taking it from the wealthy people, limiting the amount of money and land they could have, and giving it to the poor people. This didn't go well for him either. He was also killed like his elder brother was 10 years before him. All right, so three main people to remember. Got Gaius Gracchus, all right, which is a tribune of the people, okay? That Lex Hortensia, People's Assembly, he tried to play Robin Hood. His younger brother, the other Gracchus, Gaius Gracchus, tried to also do the same thing and redistribute the wealth. He was killed as well. So both the Gracchi brothers, brothers Gracchus, however you prefer, were murdered because, or rather assassinated, because they opposed the Senate's will and tried to redistribute land. And the third one, of course, is Marius, okay? Gaius Marius. He later became a consul, he was a general, and he basically created a professional Roman army. This is one of his ways to address the unemployment problem and the homeless issue by giving an option for people to join the army and to become professional soldiers for between 16 and 20 years, at which point they could then retire, get a small piece of land and a little bit of retirement money, and basically start over on their own farm. 16 or 20 years in the military is a long haul. Ancient military, very, very tough to make it through that full 16 to 20 years, okay? Just to kind of recap, remember, a lot of times people today go in the military. You put 20 years in, you retire, maybe you're like 38 or 40 years old after you're 20, and you can start a whole new career. Some people will do like Miss Scruggs did. We talked about in class how she was in the Navy for 20 years, got out, had a started having a family, and then she became a teacher. Okay, her husband was also in the Navy for 20 years. He got out and he ended up working in the prison system as a prison guard. So a little different there, where you can like actually do a full career, 20 years, retire with a pension and benefits and things like that, and then actually start a whole other career. So when you put 20 years in something like that, some people choose to stay their whole life in the military, other people don't. Some people don't want to go into it at all. It's not for everybody, okay, for sure. My father went in, did 7 or 8 years, got the GI Bill so they would pay for his college when he got out. That's how he was able to pay through college, because he couldn't afford it on his own. So a lot of things can do that. This idea of that service and the benefits coming from that service stem from earlier in history, and the Romans are a perfect example of it. You do not want your veterans to come back from war, not have households, not have jobs, and now you've got a bunch of trained professionals, former military, who are unhappy and unemployed. Bad idea. Which is what you kind of see right now at this point in Roman history in the Republic Part 3. You have a bunch of people coming back from the wars, particularly after the Punic Wars with Carthage, where the farmland is destroyed, the farms are no longer functioning, so they don't have land, they don't have money, they don't have jobs. So they all flock to the big cities looking for jobs, which creates this huge amount of urban poor and urban homelessness. Very similar to some of the problems we see today in some of our own big cities all around the world. The Romans were there before us and had different ways to address the problems, not always good ones, but they struggled with the similar issues that we struggle with today. Unfortunately for them, in many cases, it devolved into civil wars. We've had our own civil war. So there's a variety of different things and similarities and parallels between the two great civilizations of the United States and Rome as you look at them step by step as they go through the development. Kind of scary if you actually parallel them out. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, of course, today from the notes, if you recall, is the second page, which you're supposed to be reading, is going to take you to the first triumvirate. This is the first triumvirate of Pompey, Crassus, and our good friend Julius Caesar, all right, whose first name is also Gaius, the third Gaius. So Gaius Julius Caesar. He becomes the first dictator of Rome a little bit later on, which we have a whole separate little study of him. Caesar's a really quite interesting fellow. Huge, massive ego, but a crafty general, one of the reportedly and reputedly one of the better generals throughout history. Some of his tactics are still studied in modern war colleges as well. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the three Gaiuses, of course, we have Gaius Marius, Gaius Caesar, and of course Gaius Gracchus. And then of course there's the Tiberious, so 3 G's and a T, okay? So Gaius, Gaius, and Tiberious. Remember, both the Gracchus brothers, of course, wanted to play Robin Hood and redistribute wealth. That idea never goes well. If you hear about the idea of saying, hey, we're going to take some of your stuff and give it to other people, that's never going to be a positive idea that's going to sell. It's just not going to work well. And that's why it cost the Gracchus brothers their lives, because the people in the Senate who were in power were not going to tolerate that. Okay, now, this is going to continue to push us through Rome a little farther. I do recommend reading these 2 pages very carefully and completing the notes on them. If you have any questions, of course, reach out and ask me, but I'll be popping this video up in a couple minutes.